Jack says, chicken soup. And I said, for the soul. We knew we had it. We got goosebumps. That means corroboration of truth. And then 144 publishers turned us down. Then our agent fired us, and Jack and I went to the book expo ourselves and sold it, which that guy lost like $20 million. Too bad for him.
Yeah.
You know,
wow.
Royalty, but we sold it.
Okay, today's guest is a speaker, trainer, co-author, and author of 318 different books. And the one he's most known for is Chicken Soup for the Soul, which he co-authored with Jack Canfield, which has sold over 500 million copies all around the world. Due to this massive amount of success and expertise, he's earned his way into the spotlight as one of the world's most sought after and personal development keynote speakers. He has spoken to over 6,000 different audiences all around the world, and his one-of-a-kind technique and masterful authority of his work has transformed the lives of millions. So please help me welcome the guy who went from selling greeting cards at the age of 9 to now one of the biggest names and faces in the personal development space. He has been interviewed on Oprah, CNN, The Today Show, and countless radio and magazine interviews as well. Co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, one of the highest selling personal development and success books of all time, my friend, Mr. Mark Victor Hansen.
Delighted to be with you, Morgan. Thank you for having me. And I'm glad everybody out there loves books, and I hope they get hooked on reading mine, because when I find an author that I love, I go through his or her entire library. So how's that for an opening statement?
Yeah, they're gonna be set for like the rest of their life with your library.
That's it.
I love it. I'm super fired up to have you on as well, and someone who's just created the amount of success you've had. From the short 10-15 minutes we've been chatting before this episode, I already just know we're friends. Like, you live a fun life. Like, you've just got such a fun, cool energy about you. And it's sometimes, believe it or not, it's kind of rare. Sometimes people create this really successful life and they kind of, create that divide. And yeah, I'm just super humble and really excited to have a chat with you today.
Honored to be here. And humble just means teachable. It doesn't mean lowly or withdrawn. I believe just the opposite. I believe what we're teaching in the book we're going to talk about today, which my wife and I wrote, which is a mega bestseller right now, and it's going to eclipse everything in Chicken Soup, but ask the bridge from your dreams to your destiny. What we're saying is, look, you got 3 choices to ask funnels. One is ask yourself, ask others, and 3 is you ask God or spirit or infinite intelligence or universal wisdom or whatever. You might put a different tone on it or a different name, but it comes out the same thing. So infinite intelligence, universal wisdom. I mean, there's 367 names for Big G, and I don't care where you ask, but if you're in alignment with God, if you're in tune with the infinite gets in tune with you, and you get to do miraculous things. In your case, you think it's a miracle that I wrote 318 books. In my case, as I look out, going, wow, if I'd started a little bit harder when I was your age, I'd have 500 by now. So I think I've done a great job. I'm thankful. I am full of bliss and joy. And the best part of my life is that I've got the woman I wanted to marry, because in our 20th anniversary issue of this book, I asked myself, I went through a very expensive divorce, but I wrote, what is it that I need in my ideal wife? And are you single yet still?
I'm in a relationship.
Okay, good. Well, I went through a lot of pains and expense. So I wrote down 267 things I needed in my ideal wife. Like she had to have a nurturing spirit, same deep spiritual practices. She had to be a non-smoker, non-alcoholic, non-drug user, charitable, have her own money, slender, radiantly fit, wise, witty, wonderful, imaginative, magnanimous, fun to be with. So it just, when you start learning to ask questions of what you really need, because the trouble is, for most young people in your age group, they say, I want me a hot babe. I want eye candy on my arm. Well, that's nice, but that's superficial from my point of view as a guy who's 74 years young, because I'm going to live to be 127 for options for renewal. So, right. And then the woman says, I want him tall, dark, and handsome like Morgan, right? Not bad, but not deep enough, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This is already just funny, and we're not even into it yet. So, Mark, I have a couple rapid fire questions to hit with you with, so people can get to know you super fast. But even though that was a wicked introduction, I think people already love you and they already know you. But some rapid fire
Okay with
questions,
me.
and then let's
Yep.
dive into the juice of all your
Get
wisdom.
it. Get it.
Cool. Where did you grow up?
Waukegan, Illinois, a place outside of Chicago.
Where do you live now?
I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is, as we're doing this talk in December, it is 82 degrees outside, sunny, beautiful blue sky. And we're in the high desert, what's called the Sonoran Desert. So we have the most cactus in the world, but it's the wettest. And we help raise the money for the preserve. And we live literally in a preserve that was worthy of saving. And my wife and I did a fundraiser, and really everyone paid $1,000 to get to come to our house to have a meal with us. And then they brought us gifts, which was sort of a mind blower to me, because all the money went to charity, which was what it was supposed to do. I didn't want any. I just wanted to save this preserve because the big bad wolf was coming. Those guys all over the world that want to just take advantage and overbuild places.
That's awesome. I love it out there as well. I've played golf out there a few times. I've been out to Scottsdale. I have a bunch of friends out there. It's great.
We're one of the 3 golf capitals in America. There's no question about that.
Yeah, it's great.
You can play next time you come with our 39-year-old son. He's a great golfer, and so is my wife.
Okay. That'll give me some time to actually get good at it.
Good.
Awesome. What's your favorite food?
Wow. I am, you can see I'm 6'4" and I weigh 242 pounds. So I got a lot of favorite foods, but right now my life is a little bit heavy on fish because we think omega-3s are good, although I also take 78 herbs and vitamins a day. So I'm, I've got mentally, I feel like I'm your age. I feel like I'm a 28-year-old inside. So, because the question isn't how old are you biologically, you should check that out when I did just in my annual test chronologically, but what do you feel is your real age? I wrote a whole book on aging with Art Linkletter called How to Make the Rest of Your Life the Best of Your Life. And he was ambassador to Australia, but he was our biggest TV star at one time. I wrote the book when he was 98 years young, right, with him. How to Make the Rest of Your Life the Best of Your Life. So, but we said never ever retire from something to nothing, because you're going to make a lot of money by 35 and you go, well, I've made $1 million or 10 or whatever your number is. And you think, well, I can retire. No, you can't. You just put on new tires, go in a new direction.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Never ever retire. It's bad for your health. Okay, go ahead.
If you could have any type of superpower, what would it be?
I've got it. I've got not one, I've got 4. And I teach everybody as a polymath. That means they got lots of talent. Most people don't recognize it because they're afraid to do what we're teaching in this book. Ask, what are your superpowers, plural? My superpower is I'm really good at writing. Forgive me for saying so. I've got plenty of critics. When you're the #1 nonfiction author in the world, having sold 500 million books, and people are jealous or envious or not willing to work, they shoot arrows at you, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Zig Ziglar and I were traveling once, and he said, Marky, they never make a statue to a critic. And I thought, Zig, that is a great line. I like it. So #1 is I can write. #2 is I really like speaking. I love, like we just got back from Vegas, big meeting. We're going to a big meeting in Houston in a couple of days, and another one in Washington, D.C. So I'm still out about on the friendly trails, making a lot of money and talking. And I can tell you that after I talk, because I'm quasi-famous, almost everybody in the audience, if they got time to stay, A, buy a book that we signed, and B, want my picture, and C, almost every one of them, because we own a couple of companies and we don't mind telling people all the cool stuff we're doing. They say, I either want to work with you or I want to bring you my deal. And I go, I haven't probably got any time for your deal on my plate unless it fits a very linear thing that I'm already doing. The third power I got is I really am good at marketing. I can see the market that nobody else can see. Like before we started, I said, we've just recently started in the last 6 months, the Mark Victor Hansen Library.com, which is a publishing house that is helping everyone in the world ghost a book, because you got to have a book that's well written and what we call sticky, and everybody ought to have a book. It's your best way to brand. And I did a whole set of tapes called Brand to Command, but author authority has a middle word, author, and it gives you legacy value, because I can't talk about what happens in Australia and the rest of the world, but in America, when you die, the first thing they do is your age, and the next thing they do the book you wrote. They're going to have a little bit of problem with me, because by the time I die, I will have passed 500 books.
Oh man.
Well,
Um,
there's just so much people need to know that I happen to
yeah,
know. You know,
there
I
is.
hang around a lot of guys like you just had DeMartini. He and Don, the people that are listening to this, all listen to my friend Dr. John DeMartini. And did he tell you how many goals he's got in writing?
No, he didn't. How many does he have?
7,000. I'm the only other guy. We're the only two guys in the world that have that many and have shared them only with each other. We're not sharing them with anyone else. Just because most people don't understand. Like one of the books I wrote is How to Think Bigger Than You Ever Thought You Could Think. You know, if you only have one goal and don't tell anybody about it, you probably won't do it. If you
Yeah.
have a lot of goals and you tell people that are significant to you and you commit to them that you're going to get it done, then you get it done. Like I'm committed to selling 1 billion books, and I will do it. And I'll do it. You know, I've already told you what I think you ought to do with me earlier before we got on here, but there's enough room for all of us. My teacher in speech, Cabot Roberts, said, it isn't how big a piece of pie you get, it's how big we make the pie. And speakers, thinkers, expand it. Christ said, I've come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. So if you're broke, you're not spiritual. Anyone who's going around saying, oh, I'm spiritual and I'm, you know, the poor or the most godly, I go, there's nowhere in the Bible that says that. The Bible says clearly, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. What are you doing wanting? Well, I can't find a relationship. Look, there's 8 billion of us alive. And if you're male and want a female or vice versa, there's 4 billion. Your soulmate is probably alive somewhere on a planet. And today, because of communication, transportation, and computerization and dating, everything, if you can't find that's not the way I found my wife, but it is, I found her a much more linear old way. I saw her, she radiated the sublime essence of what I needed. And we behitched. How's that? Long ago.
You gave her your best pickup line.
You want to hear that?
Yeah, sure. Let's hear it.
So her mother sends her to Author 101. She is in the audience, and I see this, 1,000 people, and I see this woman is just radiating out pulchritudinous out every pore of her being, and she was a high soul and an old spirit. I mean, I could see that. It's maybe that's my 5th superpower. I wasn't my 4th superpower. I'll go back to it in a minute because I didn't finish. But I saw her, and that night we were at the VIP room upstairs at this mega hotel, and a lady I'm surrounded with people asking me questions, but lady hits the red wine and wipes it all over Crystal's white pants. I broke through the crowd. I ran over, grabbed her hand, and said, I know at this hotel where the club soda is. Let me take you to it so you can save your pants. She bought the line, and it was great. And I said, look, it's 9:30, and are you hungry? She said, I'm hungry. I said, there's 1,000 people here that all want 2 minutes of my time. So if you'll forgive me, I got to take you offshore, meaning out of this property. So I took her to the best hotel, the best restaurant in Hollywood. We were in LA, and that I knew, and there are like 50 people lined up, and I go, oh my gosh, $100 bill isn't going to get me in. But she is so gorgeous. You've seen pictures of her, right?
I haven't, no.
Oh, well, go look online. You'll see what I mean. She's ageless, timeless, and a wise beauty. Anyhow, we go up to the gatekeeper, and the gatekeeper says, okay, I give up. Who is she? Thinking she's a movie star. And because I teach, ask, everything's the question. Your question gets you everything you want out of life. It determines the path every minute, every second of your life. So you've got to learn how to be what we're calling a master asker. And we have a whole seminar that we give free called askthebookclub.com. Everyone listening can go to askthebookclub.com after they get a copy of the book, and we'll gladly talk to them. Anyhow, the point is, the guy says, okay, I give up. Who is she? No, I got him. I said, you don't recognize her? Well, now his head's on steroids, going through, in America, People Magazine, InStyle, Vanity Fair. He's going, oh my God, she's really famous, and I have not a clue who this woman is. I said, she's the Queen of Denmark. Now, we're both Danish, but I'm goofing around. He says, no, she's not. All of a sudden he goes, oh God, yes, she is. So who are you? Back to questions. I said, who travels with the Queen? He said, oh my God, you're the king. Hold on one second. I got to see. And Morgan, 50 people that couldn't get in, that probably all gave $100 bill. I got in like that, because everybody needs to learn how to live in the question, because the question pre-assumes the answer. And I wasn't going to not get in. I mean, that was my idea. Wasn't come and stand in line. My idea wasn't come and stand outside. My idea was I need a private table, the best table in the house, and I need it because this lady and I are going to talk. And then when we synchronized, we were absolutely enchanted with each other. You know, I just, she and I just felt like we'd been together forever. That's what I'm saying is, and at the first rate, I wanted a soulmate, but what we are is we're two souls that came together. And it's like when you have two candles lit, if you put them together, it jumps fourfold. It's called synergy. Anyhow, it's got a lot of terms for it, acceleration. Anyhow, but you go to what's called twin flame, and that's what Crystal and I are twin flames. That's why everybody who reads the book goes, my God, I've never read a book that had so much heart and soul, because that's what we put in the book.
Yeah.
Starting with this thing called the Fable of Michaela, which is a story set in the time of kings and queens, where this lady is suffering moving rocks from place to place. And most people, because of COVID confinement cocoon that you and I are talking about, feel like they're stuck, right? And have been incarcerated mostly around the world. So, and I'm trying to break us out of incarceration with this fable, because in Denmark, the top fabulist is obviously Hans Christian Andersen, The Ugly Duckling, and all the movies you saw as a little kid are Disney movies. 143, this guy wrote fables. So we decided one of the things that Crystal and I are doing is writing the new fables to get us free, but starting with the Fable of Michaela. And when you read it, you go, oh my gosh, this woman just accelerated and gained her freedom. And it's a story.
Well, let's dive into it a little bit. So what is the basis of us? So it's the bridge between your dreams and what is
your
it?
Destiny.
In your dreams and destiny.
So everybody's got a destiny, and you're coded at DNA and RNA of birth to have a destiny. And most people never ask, what's my destiny? So remember, I said, you ask yourself, others, and God. If you don't know your destiny, and most people don't, well, I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor, I'm a garbage man, I'm a school teacher. No, that's what you do. That's not where you're going and what you're supposed to be doing. Destiny, the question is, 400 times before you go to sleep at night, you say, God, what's your destiny for me? God, what's your destiny for me? God, what's your destiny for me? In the middle of the night, you're going to wake up, write it down on a piece of paper, wake up your sweetiekins and say, hey, look, I just heard Morgan Nelson and Mark Victor Hansen, and I don't know if Mark's a whack job or not, but he's got a pretty good life. So I'm going to write down my destiny in the middle of the night, because a destiny is like a wet, slippery fish. You know, because you're coded, but most people never tell you to do it 400 times, push back, sleep, go, what's my destiny? What's my destiny? What's my destiny? Same for finding a book title. I'm the top book title guy in the world, according to Guinness Book of Records. But when Jack and I needed a title, we said, mega best-selling title, mega best-selling title, mega best-selling title, mega best-selling title. Jack calls me at 2:58 in the morning. Now, this is before cell phones existed, so it wakes up the whole house, and my little daughter is coming to vet, wakes up 88 animals on 1 acre. And, you know, because the phones ring all over the house. There's a lot of phones because of the big house. And Jack says, chicken soup for the soul. I said, for chicken soup. And I said, for the soul. We knew we had it. We got goosebumps. That means corroboration, the truth. God bumps, goosebumps, chili bumps. We had 7 states of that. And then 144 publishers turned us down. They said, do you know the line, hit the road, Jack? Sort of a cliche.
Yep. Yeah.
And I said, look, if you don't like Jack, it's okay, but I'm a nice guy. And they still kicked us out. Anyhow, then our agent fired us, and Jack and I went to the book expo ourselves and sold it, which that guy lost by $20 million. Too bad for him.
Yeah.
You know,
wow.
Royalty, because we sold it.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
so okay. So there's so many things that were just open. Okay. So firstly, I want to.
That's what I said to you. I said you'd have no problem asking, because you've been doing it since you're a little kid, unless somebody squished your butterfly.
So I want to come back and talk about, I guess, the relentlessness you guys had of being turned down 144 times. Is that what you said?
Yep.
And then going to sell
like that, and our respective wives at the time didn't think that was a good idea.
Yeah.
And you guys, are you that stupid? You can't see, nobody wants your book. Well, now 500 million people have, and pretty soon 1 billion. So that's good.
Yeah. And is it one of the highest selling personal development books of all time, or is it the highest?
It's number 2 after the Bible. And my publisher said, you can't outsell the Bible. I said, well, let me do a Bible. He said, I'm not letting you do a Bible. I said, well, then write a note so I can go sell it elsewhere. And I did Chicken Soup with the Soul Bible, and I sold 70,000 a week at Walmart. You know, amazing what you can do if you want to. And by the way, notice the color. I told you earlier, God's highest color is purple. top of the electromagnetic spectrum, which you call the rainbow, right? And all the spiritual guys wear purple on holidays like Christmas and, you know, all those days and Easter. So I did the book and I made little stories in a way to big stories so you could read it.
So how did you guys know that you had this best-selling book in your hands? You knew it was perfect and you were willing to go through 144 no's and rejections, plus your wives telling you nobody wants your book, to still know you had something special there? What was inside of you to know that?
Well, like you said, I've been selling since I was 9 years old. Now, Jack is third in his class at Harvard. Jack's, you know, bona fide smart. So I'm not taking anything away from Dr. Cantio. What I'm saying though is that I'm the salesman, I'm the marketer. It's my superpower that I said, just rejection. Two things. Number one is to handle rejection, one clean, 4-letter word, N-E-X-T. And then number two, so you just keep saying next, because somebody else is going to buy. So if you don't have the right person in your love life, and assuming you're single and all that good stuff, you know, you keep saying next. She's out there, or he's out there, or they're out there. Somebody's out there, and then, you know, and they're looking for you as hard as you're looking for them. My cliche is whatever you want you as much as you want it. So, and that's metaphysically and physically and spiritually true. So, and then the second thing is the biggest movie maker of all times. We interviewed in this thing, Peter Guber. You've watched all of his movies like Rocky and Batman and Rain Man, and he's got 50 Academy Awards, and he started selling as a kid too. And he's one of my dearest friends, and we vacationed 17 days together before COVID, our wives and us. And Peter said, Mark, you're totally dyslexic. I'm not dyslexic at all, but he says, everybody tells you no, you think they're saying on. So to answer your question, Chris and I talked to in 80 countries, and all these people that are wonderful. There are two kinds of people. All of them had good attitudes. All of them were personable. All of them were well educated. All of them were polite. But the difference between somebody, Morgan, who succeeded and somebody who didn't, the ones who did know how to ASK to GET what they want. They knew how to get their ass in gear. And that line comes from Rita Davenport, who we interviewed in this book, and it's a great story. I can tell if we have enough time. But
so what's the difference between people who get what they want and people who don't get what they want? What's the difference in the questions they ask or don't ask?
It's bigger than that. The second chapter is we do the 7 roadblocks to asking, and the first one is a sense of worthiness. And all of us have some of them, some of the time, some of them all of the time, and some of them we can conquer. And that's why we're saying, if you get a chance, get 2 copies, one for you and one for somebody else. Go over every one of the 182 questions in the book and write out the answers when you're with that person, and go over what you're going to do and how to conquer it, because we tell you. And then we've got a lot of product behind it if you want to use it. But what we're saying is 7 roadblocks. First one's a sense of self-worth. Second one is we all have doubt. Next is fear. Next is naivete. You don't know what you don't know, and you don't even know that you don't know, and that's the danger. And I'll give a quick example of that if you're open to it. And then you got excusology. Well, I would, but I'm too old, too young. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. I don't have any money. We all got all the excuses that you could ever have. And then the last one, number 7, is disconnection, where, you know, unfortunately, kids today, you know, use the cell phone and think they're connected, or use a computer and think, well, I'm on TikTok or Instagram and I'm connected. Bull crap. When you come to a family meeting, and our family is big, 5 kids, 6 grandkids. When you come, nobody gets to use a cell phone when we're having dinner and Grampy's paying. It isn't. You're not allowed. It's not in the cards. I'll take your phone away and break the dang thing, because we're really together. And if you check it out, every one of our kids are successful, and my grandkids are even infinitely more successful and doing amazing stuff. Because the start of this book, Crystal and I are in Hawaii. We own a company called naturalpowerconcepts.com. Everyone should go look at the videos. But we got cutest solar pop-up windmills called wind charger that you got pulsating waves, so we can have enough water and energy and food for everybody. But that's not the point today. We're on the beach in Hawaii, and my grandson Everett had gotten a gizmo watch, like a Dick Tracy watch that you talk into. He can only call his parents his grandparents. So when the phone call came through on a gizmo, I knew it was Everett. He's 6 years old. I say, what is it, Everett? He says, Grampy, are you alone? I said, no, there's probably or 5,000 people here on the beach with Mimi and Grampy. He said, well, can I talk to you? This is important. I said, yes, sir. I said, where are you? He said, I'm in the closet. This is really important. I said, oh boy, okay, you can talk to me 24 hours a day, 7 days a year. He's still, are you writing books, Grampy, like those good books I've read of yours? He's 6 years old and read through all the chicken soup books. I said, yes, sir. He said, can I write the next book with you? I said, yes, sir, because we got to support our kids. So he's got the first story in here that he wrote at 6 years old. What happens is that most people go, don't go bothering your grandpa who's the world's best-selling author and thinking you can write with him. Well, why not? I'm not going to turn him down, or any of my grandkids. They're amazing. If you look online at Facebook, you'll see all the pictures, all the cool stuff we just did together even this last weekend.
I'll have to get you on Facebook, Mark. I'm looking forward to a game of golf. Hang out with all your family. It just sounds like a whole world of fun. I'd love to.
You're here to have fun and joy. I mean, the Bible has two things 365 times. Number one, back to fear. Fear not is 365 times, once for every day. And number two is you're here to rejoice and enjoy, right? And I think you can see I'm a happy camper. And I want everyone to be a happy camper. The people that aren't happy are the people that are doing all this screwed up stuff on COVID. Oh, you're no good if you don't get a shot. Oh. No, they're going to kill humanity if they keep that crap up.
Yeah. Why do you think some people are addicted to creating their own problems?
Because they have not gone through the 7 roadblocks to fear and gotten clear that they're made in the image and likeness of God. They're God stuff. They're good stuff. They're worthy. They're important. God's infinite. You're made in that image. So you got infinite ability. But if you think you got a little ability, you'd be a taker rather than a giver. And I'm saying life gives to the giver and takes from the taker. I want to be a giver. And you know, we tie every one of our books to a charity, so the charity knows they're going to get stuff from us. And you can read all my bio, and it says all the charities we've done. And like, I'm a Horatio Alger Award winner, which means I've come from rags to riches and been excessively philanthropic. And our association has helped 35,000 at-risk kids get full scholarships, either to university or technical school, to graduate. And every year we mentor kids. So I'm a mentor and they're the mentee. And one of my best mentees who came out of Vietnam, his dad was a prisoner of war. His mom only had one egg a day to eat for 8 years. You know, we gave him a full scholarship, but he came to all my seminars free. All the ratio kids get to come to my seminars free. This kid now at 24 years old is making $5 million a year. He owns Instrumental Savings, Nathan Wynn. But there's a lot of stories like that. But the point is, everybody is here and everybody needs a mentor. So the 4 things you need is got to know, number one, you got to ask yourself, what do I really want? What do I want to be? What do I want to do? What do I want to have? Number 2, you got to put it in writing, and whatever your macro goal is, like I teach with Bob Proctor, is I'm so happy and thankful that when Jack and I started, sell 1.5 million books in a year and a half, and I signed it and Jack signed it, our publisher signed it, and we did it. We started out June 28, 1993. By Christmas 94, we'd sold 1.5 million books. Then we changed it to 5 million, and then 10 million, and then 15 million. And then we did 15 million every year after. But, and even our publisher couldn't believe we were doing it. So he said, you guys are going to be one book wonders. I said, no. I live in principle. My principle's written that you got a sequel and prequel. You got to have befores and after, just like Star Wars, and just like Rocky, Sylvester Stallone someday will say, Adrian, give me my cane. I got to go to a fight. It's one of those things.
Yeah. Okay. So you need to know what you want. You need to put it in writing.
3, you got to visualize it to realize it, because your mind is subconscious, is all 87% visual. So you got to see it before you can have it. And I'll go to that in a second. And then number 4, you got to have a team, 1-on-1. If you look at this, we put your index fingers out, it equals 11, right? It doesn't equal 2, it equals 11. And my wife and I are a mastermind team, right? A mastermind is 2 or more individuals in the spirit of cooperative harmony create a third new mind that is invincible, it's unstoppable. And I've been with Jack, and our mastermind partner, we're still, the point is you over a lifetime, you're going to have a lot of different mastermind partners, because you're going to have a lot of different projects. If you're deciding to do what I said and wake up the genius inside and you're a polymath, like Ben Franklin in our country was a polymath. He starts out as a kid as a writer and nobody had let him write. So he printed it under a pseudonym, a false name. And then all of a sudden he flies a kite, finds electricity, then he creates bifocals, and then he makes more money than anyone, and starts leading the country and became our Secretary of State. Then it was taking a boat to Paris from Washington, D.C. took 3 to 4 months. It was not an easy job. So he just stayed there.
Yeah. So what is, obviously, like, I'm quite familiar with, the Chicken Soup for the Soul and what you guys, and you've shared quite a bit about it already. But
thank you.
What are some tools, I guess, you've used? Because I know, because like I remember hearing Jack share the story many times, and that story of waking up in the middle of the night with the name and manifesting. And what are some other tools you guys have used, or you specifically, to manifest your reality?
Every tool that I've said, starting at 9 years old, when my parents didn't have the money to buy me a bicycle, I was beating on my dad saying, I gotta have it, I gotta have it. He said, I'd seen low handlebar racing bicycles made in Europe, and at the time remember I said visualizing, I had a picture next to my bed, and I felt, this is important, you got to think it and feel it, see it, and take ownership of it, because what you obsess about, you will ultimately possess. But I had that picture on the wall, a ride a wheel on Sheffield steel. Now today, that same bicycle is $12,750. So when I told my dad, he kept saying no, not because he didn't love me, he couldn't afford it. I didn't understand that at 9 years old. The old man's got money in his wallet. Why can't he afford $100? The point is, he said he was teaching me principle like pride of ownership follows pride of ownership. So I said, what the hell does that mean? Oh, I got it. I got to earn it myself. He said, you got it, kid. And thinking, I don't know how to earn that much money, but what happens is the minute you ask, remember, the principle of life is ask. I asked myself, how am I going to get it? I'm a Boy Scout. In the back of the magazine, it said you could sell greeting cards on consignment. That means you don't have to pay for them. You go out to the neighbors. My mother was a great saleswoman. She said, you go smile at the neighbor, and his snow is deep back in Waukegan, Illinois. And I say, I'm earning my own bicycle. Would you like to invest in 1 box Christmas cards or 2 and help me get my bicycle? And then I shut up and smile. And he always bought 2. Well, they were $2 a box. I sold 376 boxes in 1 month. And my dad took half that money, put it in my college fund, because he said, you're paying your own way through college. 9 years old, he never went to college. It seemed that he was doing okay. And in college, I don't know what college is. No.
Did you go to college? Did you still go to college or no?
I got a doctorate. I stayed for a long time, but I don't brag about that. I've got 10 honorary doctorates on top of that. But that's it's interesting, but the real important is, did I get any wisdom? Did I do anything worthy? Did I make an impact in the society? And that's the same thing I'm asking all these people that are out there. So you figure out what you want. You ask yourself, what do I want to be? I want to be a speaker. I want to be a writer, and I want to be a marketer. And then I want to make humanity 100 fourth point superpower. I'm going to help make humanity 100% economically and physically successful. Now you say, how do you do that? Well, when I was in my 20s, I wrote down 10 mega goals I want to do during my life. You say, well, who else did that? Elon Musk said back when he was at Stanford, and he's a superstar way beyond me, but he said, here's the 5 things I'm going to do. I'm going to create energy production and creation. He created Tesla. He said, I'm going to figure out how the human mind works and help it better, Neuralink, and he's putting chips in and making people that aren't ambulatory and able to walk and move. So God bless him. He said, I want to go into space because we've got to go conquer the moon. He said his things. I say, I want to create energy for total humanity, because energy creates water, water creates food, food creates abundance. And then we got sufficiency, which is what God promised, abundance. He didn't promise lack and shortage. So if you go to a church or a temple or synagogue or ashram or mosque that's teaching there's not enough to go around, they're all idiots. That's all. They just are, and I'm here to de-ignify them with my books and my thinking and my talks and my YouTubes and everything that I'm doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I got de-ignified. De-ignification is a one-off. You ask about why the people that don't have it, there are rich people, guys like Bill Gates, who have low self-esteem, and that's why he's greedy, because he's needy inside. He doesn't have enough. He'll never have enough. Until you're full inside, no matter how much you get outside, you'll never have enough.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So how do you...
I've never met Bill Gates. I'm sure he would disagree with me, but if you look at his life, it's not going very well right now.
Yeah. So
divorce, problems in the media.
how do you identify if
Go ahead.
what you're doing is coming from a space of lack or a space of wanting to do more and impact more?
Back to what I said, you got to ask yourself, ask others, and ask God. So when I was bankrupt and upside down in 1974, I said, okay, God, what is it you want me to do? And God does the opposite. He says, Mark, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to talk to people that care about things that matter, that would make a life transformative difference. Well, I was miracle number one. I go to my 3 roommates in Hicksville, Long Island, New York, which is not a very rich place, $100 a month rent. So you can see I was not styling and profiling. I had not made it. I'd lost everything overnight. Anyhow, and it was my best, worst experience. So one of my roommates said, yeah. I said, you know anyone that's young, that's not a cotton top, white hair, not a lawyer, not a doctor, not a Broadway star, a celebrity? I said, yeah. Here's my ticket. There's a young guy, a few years older than you, Chip Collins, talking to all the 500 realtors on Long Island. Well, he gave me his ticket, miracle number 2. I get out there and I listen to this guy, Chip Collins, take a downtrodden audience. Now, interest rates were 28%. Real estate on Long Island and New York was not selling. He winds them up tight. He gets them enthused. He gets them to believe in themselves again, which is what my books are all about. Upping your self-esteem, your self-awareness, because you got to have self-awareness to have self-expression. My hierarchy: self-awareness, self-expression, self-mastery to self-realization, where you're in alignment with God, like I said earlier in the interview. Anyhow, I listened to Chip for 3 hours, I think it was. I was blown away. Miracle number 2. Miracle number 3, I mean. So number 1, I asked God. Number 2, I asked my roommates. Number 3, I get Chip and say, can I take you to lunch? He said, look, chance you making it as speaker, 1 in 1,000, kid, you're not going to make it. So go do a real business. I said, no, let me buy you lunch. You just tell me how to do it, and let me decide if I got the self-determination to action. That's why everybody's got to read self-help action books like I write and read, and encourage everyone to read. Think and Grow Rich, Og Mandino. I name 100 authors that you may or may not know, and friends, that the ones that are alive anyhow. And the others are friends just because we've mentally met. Anyhow, so Chip says, do the life insurance business. It's a bottomless pit for motivation. And here's the questions you ask. Knock on 10 doors. 1 will say yes. 10th guy the next day, this is miracle number 5. Italian guy weighed 450 pounds, but he weighed an ounce. And it's like 6:30 at night. And he couldn't believe that there was no secretary. And I just got in and we really hit it off. He said, okay, Mark, I'll take your seminar. I said, Chip gave me the key question. Do you want to cut the check or have your secretary cut it? For $100. I was doing $25 an hour, 4 seminars. I come to you prospecting, presenting, closing, good work habits. He said, I'll take it, Mark. He had a deep, gruff voice, right? He said, Mark, I got something for you. You take this directory, everybody in Metropolitan knows me. I'm Big Tony. I'm the number 1 guy in the number 1 company in the world. He said, nobody's bigger than big. I had outside a Cadillac. That was big back then. Now today it's Mercedes or a Rolls Royce, but or a lot of cars. But I called every one of us. Big Tony told me, you got to meet with me. I'm going to help you do seminars, and I'm going to increase your company 10%. Every one of them took it because Tony told me. So I went from 0 to hero overnight. And then I had to learn to talk. And I knew nothing about insurance. I didn't know what a premium was. I didn't know what a CLU was. I didn't know squat. I didn't know term. I didn't anything. I knew 0, but it doesn't matter. I had what you asked about is step number 1 when you're asking yourself, God, you're looking, what is your white hot desire that you were coded with it, DNA and RNA at birth. Everybody's got something they're here to do. And now let me do a bonus to that, may I? And then you get to ask your next question.
Yes.
There's a video online everybody's got to watch, and I have nothing to do with this video. You watch mine if you would, but this is by Mellon, M-E-L-L-E-N, Thomas Benedict. He died as an atheist, went to the other side to a place with no time and no space, just like Albert Einstein said, met God, and God said, you're not done yet, you're going back. And it's called near-death experience. But the video on his 17-minute video is so clear about how the soul moves and how you were coded at DNA and RNA. I am looking in the future, I will do a video equal to that. That is the state of the future, I'm telling you. It's metamorphosis, if that means, metaverse, if that means anything to you.
Yes, yeah, it means a lot to me right now. It's
Yeah,
so funny. This is so perfect timing as well. Like I was just sitting there thinking, it's like, you know that saying? It's like the more you know, the more you realize that you don't know.
that's
Um,
right. That's Buddha. Buddha said, you really
I,
know when you don't know much.
yeah, like I'm sitting here chatting with you and listening to you, and that just hit me so like louder than ever. I'm like, here I am. Like I think like I know quite a bit. Like I've been doing this stuff for quite a while as well. So it's rarer to meet with someone and connect somewhere. I'm like, and then it just made me open my mind. I'm like, I know nothing. And so I want to ask, because I
That's the
know
front
we're
end of enlightenment, by the way, according to
yes,
Buddha.
yeah. So I want to ask, because I know we're really tight on time. We absolutely have to run another episode together next year or this year, right, when it's coming.
First,
And
you got to interview my wife. Interview my wife, and then I'll
okay,
come back.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll do that. Because I'd love to dive more into that, actually, like the whole the enlightenment side, the spiritual side, and that whole it's because it's such a
And
it's
when you'll find out that she's pure wisdom,
yeah, cool. We'll run that.
not because she's married to me. She was that before me.
I love it. So let's talk about your book to wrap this up. What can people expect from it? What will they get from it?
First of all, if they like chicken soup, they're going to love the stories in here. Second of all, they're going to get their life transformed, because I believe everything should be unique. So this book's unique, and it uniques up on you, and it helps you transform your life from good to phenomenally good. Because as you do the questions, as you write it down, as you expand your visualization, you're going to 10, 100, or 1,000-fold your life, your lifestyle, your impact on the world. And that's why it's a rocking bestseller. And everybody that reads it says, like, we were at church we had the Christmas service here already, and it is a big church. And this woman comes up to us from a place called Flagstaff, Arizona, and she said, I was getting my hair done yesterday, and the lady doing my hair said, look, Jill, I got to tell you, there's a book that you got to read. Says, what's the book? Said, Ask, The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. Jill said, Crystal and Mark are my best friends. We're on the board of directors of the church together. She said, honest to God, I've never read a book like that. And that's what most people are saying, because, in sports, you're done at 30 or 40 at the latest. In books, you get theoretically, you get smarter and wiser, richer, deeper, more profound. Now, that is the dream, the hope, the prayer. And I hope that's true for my being able to help people in the most economic way and give them the most abundance of insight to wake up, because you're born overendowed. You're born with 18 billion brain cells. They cannot come to work till you make the decision, imploded deeply, profoundly into the subconscious, which goes out to the superconscious, then goes to God conscious, and God always says yes. So that's why when I said, what if I go bankrupt? I checked the book out of the library, How to Go Bankrupt by Yourself. I was dumbass squared. God doesn't care what you ask for. He's going to give it to you. So if you're not where you want to be, it's you. And, I meet no one but me, one of my teachers said, and you've got to go meet yourself, and you're meeting yourself every day. So you want to meet yourself at the highest, best, most imperatively important level. And the only way to do that, to get on your life path, is to learn to become a master asker, which we're trying to help. We want everyone to do it.
Yeah.
You say, well, you should do that because you were born. No, you get back to what you said, that we said the 7 roadblocks. You get squished in life as a kid. You get squished as a student. You get squished in the military. You get squished in business. You get squished by your spouse. Quit asking for what, blah, 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 right? And so what we're saying is, no, stop, get better at it, but learn how to master it so you're massively persuasive.
Yeah, that's it. Like I always say, like, ask intelligently, because the quality of your life comes down to the quality of the questions you ask. And most people just ask disempowering questions, like, why am I still here? Why is this not working? And it's like, so I bring everything back to asking powerful questions. So I can't wait to get into this.
Please, I say, one of my cliches in the book is, the size of your question determines the size of your result. If you ask, most people come up to me and say, I want to earn more money. I give them a quarter. I said, there, you got more money. That's not what you wanted. Right? That's dumb.
Yeah.
Right? The minute you say, I'm on, you write on your little card, I'm so happy I'm on schedule to be a millionaire. Now your mind wakes up and goes, beep, 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 teleological. It says, I got to figure out how to become a millionaire. Or in my case, how to sell 1 billion books. Same thing.
Amazing. So what I want to do, Mark, is I want to help this book get out because
Thank
and I
you,
haven't even
please.
read it yet. And usually I think I've only promoted one other book on this entire podcast because I'm just big on really only bringing in people into the show who I have good values, have good integrity, and really and embodied with what they do. And so I just absolutely know that this is going to be insane. So I completely trust you here. And so I'm gonna give away 5 books. So I'm gonna buy 5
Thank
books.
you.
I'm gonna give them away. So for the listeners on the show, for you guys to get a book, all you need to do is get this episode, share it to your Instagram. So you must be subscribed, leave a 5-star written review on iTunes if you haven't already, and mention this episode. So if you have already, that's totally fine. If you haven't, go ahead and do the review. Share it to your Instagram and tag me at Morgan T. Nelson. And Mike, what is your Instagram handle? Do you know what that is?
Not a clue. I mean, I
Okay.
got written down, but I have a social media person. So
Yeah.
if anyone ever needs to get to me, they can just write me at reception@markvictorhansen.com. Just like we come into a building at reception.
Yeah.
Reception@markvictorhansen.com. Yep.
Awesome. So guys, you got it there. Okay. So take a screenshot of you listening to this episode, whether you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on Instagram. And 1 week after this show has been released, I'm going to be drawing the 5 people out on my Instagram channel, and a book is going to be coming to you guys straight off the press for you guys to be transformed. So I'm super excited, and I want to be able to do that. So let's get this episode out because the amount of wisdom you have is incredible. I really look forward to bringing on your wife and doing round 2 with you. So Mike, one final question to wrap this up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Okay. If you were to go back to your 18-year-old self and give him 30 seconds of advice, what would it be?
Even have more self-confidence, because everything ultimately works out for you. And you got to keep telling yourself, everything works out for me in my life.